Hello, I'm Ben Mankiewicz. Welcome back to TCM. Thanks for spending Christmas night with us. Earlier this evening, we had the 1946 Michael Powell, Emmerich Pressburger fantasy, A Matter of Life and Death, a movie that's both a World War II film and an afterlife story. David Niven played a World War II flyer fighting for his life in court in heaven. Up next, another celestial story of a World War II pilot, this time with Spencer Tracy heading the cast. From MGM in 1943, this is A Guy Named Joe. In this version of the afterlife, fallen fighter pilots become guardian angels to pilots still in action. Tracy assumes the guardian angel role and has to come back to protect his successor, a young pilot played by Van Johnson. Complicating matters is that Johnson takes a romantic interest in Tracy's girlfriend, a spunky, self-assured pilot played by Irene Dunne. Dunn's performance forms the backbone of the movie. Although Van Johnson soon became one of MGM's most popular stars, he was not in the studio's stable of leading men when he got the part in A Guy Named Joe. Johnson had been under contract for a couple of years, steadily working in supporting roles. His work impressed Spencer Tracy, who recommended Johnson for the role in A Guy Named Joe. Then, during production, Johnson was in a serious car accident and took him months to recover, and surgery left him with permanent scars on his face. Since production had to stop while Johnson recovered, MGM prepared to recast the role and restart production. Tracy, though, wasn't having it. If you replace him, insisted Tracy, you'll have to replace me. Irene Dunne backed up Johnson, too. As Johnson recovered, she worked on another MGM film, The White Cliffs of Dover, which also had Johnson in a small role. The support from his colleagues paid off for Johnson, and A Guy Named Joe helped take him to the top tier of MGM stars. Here's the film from 1943, directed by Victor Fleming, also with Ward Bond, James Gleason, Lionel Barrymore, Barry Nelson, and in one of her first roles, Esther Williams, before she became an on-screen swimming sensation, A Guy Named Joe. As I mentioned earlier, Van Johnson almost didn't get to play his role in A Guy Named Joe because he got into a bad car accident at the start of production. Ironically, his injuries in the accident ultimately disqualified Johnson from service in World War II. While many of Hollywood's leading men stepped away from the screen to serve during the war, the accident meant Johnson stayed behind and he became one of the industry's most popular stars. A Guy Named Joe was later remade in 1989 as Always, directed by Steven Spielberg, who's a longtime fan of A Guy Named Joe. Spielberg's version moved the story from World War II bomber pilots to contemporary firefighting pilots, with Richard Dreyfuss, Holly Hunter, and John Goodman leading the cast. Always marked the last screen appearance for Audrey Hepburn, who took on a heavenly role similar to Lionel Barrymore's in A Guy Named Joe. Coming up, Robert Cummings stars as an angel sent to Earth in a fantasy western from 1947. Heaven Only Knows is next on Turner Classic Movies.
Next on TCM, Heaven Only Knows. Then the horn blows at midnight, and later, Time Bandits. Steal a moment with TCM tonight.